Hi, you're listening to An Unruly Life, a podcast for people navigating change, reinvention, and the space between who they were and who they're becoming. I'm Rebecca Peabody, author, cultural historian, and coach. I help thinkers and creatives find clarity, confidence, and new possibilities. Today's episode is a special one. It's the first one, and the first in an ongoing conversation about reimagining the post-PhD career with a special focus on professionalization, careers beyond academia, and entrepreneurship. The format is a little different from what you might expect from a podcast and from the way this podcast will usually sound. I organized a panel conversation at the most recent American Studies Association conference. If you're an academic, you'll know that those kinds of conversations can be amazing, but they're also ephemeral, there for the benefit of the speakers and a select audience, and then gone once the session ends. I wanted to capture this one for a broader audience, so I had it recorded, and I'm really pleased to be able to share it with you here. Even if the format is a bit different, the content is right in line with one of my core missions, which is creating community and an expanded sense of possibility through sharing our stories with each other. And there are some great stories here. We'll dive into the recording just as the panelists are introducing themselves, so I'll give a little background here just to set the scene. First, how I fit into this story. I have a joint PhD in the history of art and African American studies from Yale University, and am currently head of research projects and academic outreach at the Getty Research Institute in Los Angeles, California. I've spent 15 years now straddling the divide between academic and non-academic careers, with considerable time spent at the hiring table in both capacities. I've also maintained a separate entrepreneurial career where I publish, consult for universities and other organizations, and run a one-on-one coaching business. I have a deep interest, a passion even, for sharing the wisdom I've acquired over the years, and I'm committed to saving PhD students and emerging professionals from reinventing all of the wheels so they can use that energy instead to go out and change the world, or to enjoy their lives and their time outside of work a little bit more. My book, The Unruly PhD, Doubts, Detours, Departures, and Other Success Stories, was one of the earliest avenues I used to share that passion. And in keeping with my theme, it's about the power of storytelling and first-person perspectives to create a sense of belonging and inspire new possibilities. Here are some difficult truths about academia today. Most people who graduate with a PhD in the humanities will not build a career on the tenure track. This has been the case for many years and is well known in academia. However, the training offered by graduate programs continues to focus on the skill sets and experiences necessary within the professorate. Meanwhile, the storytelling that takes place in academic contexts tends to suggest that academic positions are the most worthwhile, disregarding or diminishing the importance of other kinds of work. Psychologically, this creates an unnecessary burden for students who must live with this disconnect between what's being said and taught and a looming reality that is likely quite different, year in and year out, over the course of a PhD degree. On a practical level, it leaves students wondering how and when they will develop the skills necessary to apply for the jobs they are more likely to obtain, those that are off the tenure track. This panel aims to offer an optimistic, solution-oriented, and inspiring intervention into this dynamic in the form of a robust and clear-eyed conversation on the state of academic professionalization and professional self-fashioning today. In particular, we'll talk about three distinct yet interrelated areas. First, professionalization. How are graduate departments across the country approaching professionalization training, and how are programs supporting students in building the skills they need to enter job markets as competitive candidates? Second, alt-ac careers. Where are humanities graduate students building meaningful careers that do not rely on the tenure track? How are they finding these jobs? And how are they gathering the information, training, and support that they need? And finally, entrepreneurship. What kinds of innovations are being made by academic entrepreneurs? How are people with academic training in the humanities uniquely poised to become entrepreneurs or to support students with entrepreneurial goals? Let's join our panelists now and get into it.